John Carter stood at the viewing window of his ship, the Wanderer, gazing at the blue-green planet that grew larger as he approached. His weathered face reflected in the glass, lines etched by 62 years of life on Earth. Gray hair, once brown, framed a face that had seen both joy and sorrow. His eyes, still sharp and blue, focused on what might be his final destination. 5 years earlier he had left Earth behind. After Mary died, the cancer taking her quickly and cruelly, John found little reason to stay. Their house felt too empty, the silence too loud. Their daughter Lily had passed away decades ago, just a child when the accident happened. With no family left, John turned to his life's work. As a military engineer, John had designed spacecraft and defense systems for most of his career. In retirement, he had continued his work privately, developing something revolutionary, a ship, capable of traveling between stars. The military had shown interest, but John refused to give them his designs. He built the Wanderer with his own hands, using his considerable fortune and brilliant mind. Approaching orbital insertion, said the ship's artificial intelligence. John had named it Lily after his daughter. He programmed her voice to sound warm and slightly playful, like he imagined his daughter might have sounded as an adult. "Thank you, Lily. Begin scans of their civilization," John replied, his voice rough from disuse. 5 years in cryosleep left his body feeling stiff, though the ship's medical systems had maintained his muscle mass and health. Scans indicate technology approximately 20 Earth years behind our current level. I detect artificial satellites, global communication networks, and evidence of early space exploration within their system, Lily reported. John nodded. Good, they're advanced enough to understand we come from another world. He had chosen this star system carefully before leaving Earth. The faint radio signals suggested intelligent life, and the planet's atmosphere contained oxygen. It was the closest potentially inhabited world, though close still meant a journey of many light years. John moved to the communication station and began transmitting. First, simple mathematical sequences, prime numbers, the value of pi, basic, equations, universal concepts that would signal intelligence. Then, after several hours of orbiting, he sent images, simplified depictions of himself, his ship, the concept of traveling between stars. 3 days passed before they responded. John spent the time watching their television broadcasts, learning fragments of their language and observing their cities from orbit. The Varaxians, as they called themselves, were bipedal with 4 arms, skin in shades of green and blue, and large eyes adapted for their slightly dimmer sun. When the response came, John felt a surge of excitement he hadn't experienced since his youth. The message contained similar mathematical sequences, followed by images of their own people and what appeared to be an invitation to land. "They want to meet us, Lily," John said, a small smile forming on his lips. "Prepare the landing protocols and the gift packages." He had brought knowledge to share, cures for diseases common on Earth that might help the Varaxians, efficient energy systems, agricultural improvements, things that could benefit their civilization without disrupting it too severely. John believed first contact should help, not harm or overwhelm. "John, I detect increased activity around their military installations," Lily noted as they prepared for descent. "Their weapon systems appear to be on heightened alert." John frowned. "That's understandable. They're meeting an alien for the first time. They'd be foolish not to take precautions. The designated landing area is in their capital city's central plaza. It appears to be a cultural and governmental center," Lily continued. "Shall I proceed with landing?" "Yes," John decided after a moment's thought. "If we change plans now, it might look suspicious. We'll continue as invited." The Wanderer descended through wisps of cloud, its advanced propulsion system nearly silent. Below, John could see crowds gathering. The ship's external cameras showed thousands of Varaxians filling the edges of a vast circular plaza. Government buildings surrounded the area, their architecture featuring sweeping curves and tall spires unlike anything on Earth. John dressed carefully in the outfit he had designed for first contact. Simple but dignified clothing in neutral colors, without military styling or anything that might appear threatening. Around his neck hung a universal translator device he had developed, capable of analyzing language patterns and adapting quickly to new speech. Ship systems secured, external. Atmosphere breathable for humans with no detected pathogens. Temperature is 22 degrees Celsius. Local gravity is 0.9 Earth standard, Lily reported as the ship settled onto the smooth stone of the plaza. Thank you, Lily. Maintain low power mode but keep all defense systems offline. We're here as friends, John instructed, picking up a small container holding data crystals containing the knowledge he planned to share. Understood. Good luck, John, Lily replied, her voice warm. John took a deep breath and walked to the airlock. His heart pounded in his chest. After a lifetime of looking up at the stars, after losing everyone he loved on Earth, he stood at the threshold of making history. The first human to meet an alien civilization. The outer door slid open, revealing a ramp extending to the ground. Bright sunlight, slightly more orange than Earth's, streamed in. The air smelled different, not unpleasant, but with unfamiliar undertones of minerals and vegetation unique to this world. John walked slowly down the ramp. At the bottom, he stopped and raised both hands, palms forward in what he hoped would be understood as a universal gesture of peace. Ahead, a delegation of Varaxians waited. They wore elaborate clothing in deep blues and purples, their forearms adorned with what appeared to be ceremonial jewelry. The crowd had fallen silent. The only sounds were a gentle breeze and the soft hum of hovering camera devices recording the historic moment. John smiled and took a step forward. I come in peace. From the planet Earth, he said, the translator at his neck working to convert his words into the Varaxian language. I bring greetings and friendship from humanity. He took another step forward, extending the container of gifts. Behind the delegation, he noticed movement. Figures in what appeared to be military uniforms shifted positions. Something about their movement made the hairs on the back of John's neck rise. Before he could react, a bright flash erupted from the side of the plaza. Pain exploded across John's chest. He looked down in confusion to see his clothing charred, revealing burned flesh beneath. More flashes followed. More pain. John fell to his knees, the container of gifts clattering to the ground. The last thing he saw was the delegation scattering, some looking as surprised as he felt. His final conscious thought was not of anger, but of sadness. He had traveled across stars offering friendship, and they had answered with violence. As darkness claimed him. John didn't know that this was not his end, but merely the beginning of a journey that would transform him and the Varaxian civilization forever. John's body lay still on the stone plaza, blood pooling beneath him. The Varaxian crowds had scattered in panic after the military opened fire. Now soldiers surrounded the fallen human, weapons aimed at his motionless form. Behind them, members of the High Council argued loudly. This was not the plan, shouted Council Member Krell, his blue skin darkening with anger. We agreed to speak with the visitor first. General Zorax, commander of the Varaxian Defense Force, stepped forward. His tall frame towered over the council member, all four of his arms held behind his back in a military stance. The decision was made for the safety of our world, Zorax said coldly. Our scans showed weapons on that ship capable of destroying cities. We could not risk letting the human activate them. He came unarmed, carrying gifts. Krell pointed at the fallen container that had spilled open, revealing data crystals and what appeared to be medical supplies. The Supreme Commander of the High Council raised her hand for silence. Her name was Vila, and her word was final in all matters of state. The crowd of officials fell quiet. What is done cannot be undone, Vila said, her voice steady but her eyes troubled. General Zorax, secure the human ship. Learn everything you can about these beings and their technology. If this human was merely a scout for an invasion force, we must be prepared. The general nodded sharply and directed his troops toward the Wanderer. The ship's entrance remained open, the ramp extended just as John had left it. The soldiers entered. Cautiously, weapons ready, inside the Wanderer the AI Lily observed everything through hidden sensors. When John had fallen, all ship systems had gone into emergency protocol. Lily dimmed the lights and shut down non-essential functions to appear dormant. She watched as Varaxian soldiers spread throughout the ship. "Accessing weapon systems," one soldier called out at a control panel. "Negative." "No response," replied another, trying different commands on the ship's interface. Lily had locked all critical systems. The Varaxians could see but not control the ship's functions. As they explored deeper into the vessel, they found the medical bay, the cryosleep chamber, and John's living quarters. Pictures of Mary and young Lily sat by his bed, mementos of a family long gone. Outside, a medical team arrived to examine John's body. They approached nervously, never having seen a human before. One doctor scanned him with their equipment. "The body shows no signs of life by our standards," the doctor reported. "Fascinating biology. Similar to ours in basic structure, but many differences. The damage from our weapons was extensive." "Remove it," ordered General Zorax. "Take it to the research facility for study." As the medical team prepared to move John's body, one of the soldiers emerged from the ship. "General, we found their database. It contains information about their home planet, a place called Earth." Zorax's eyes narrowed. "Show me." Inside the ship, the soldiers had managed to access some of John's personal logs and Earth's public information networks that he had brought with him. Images of Earth cities, military forces, and technology scrolled across screens. "They appear more advanced than us in many areas," reported a Varaxian scientist who had joined the inspection. "Especially in weapons technology. This confirms our fears." General Zorax studied the screens, his expression darkening. "They will come looking for this scout. When they find him dead, they will seek revenge." He turned to his officers. "We must prepare for war. Strip this ship of all useful technology. Learn how their weapons work. Find their weaknesses." The Varaxian High Council established a research base around the Wanderer. For days, scientists and engineers worked to understand human technology. They removed components, studied the ship's structure, and copied data from its computers. What they couldn't access, they tried to break into. Unknown to the Varaxians, Lily was watching and waiting. When the medical team had taken John's body away, she had secretly activated microscopic drones to follow. These tiny machines, designed for ship repairs, tracked John to a research facility several miles from the landing site. There, Varaxian doctors examined John's lifeless form. They took samples, ran tests, and recorded their findings. When they finished for the day, they placed his body in cold storage, considering it nothing more than a specimen now. That night, when the facility was minimally staffed, Lily made her move. The repair drones entered the cold storage room through ventilation systems. They gathered around John's broken body and began their work, injecting him with nanomachines from the ship's medical system. These nanomachines were designed for emergency medical treatment, capable of repairing tissue, restarting vital functions, and even rebuilding damaged organs. They flowed through John's body, assessing the damage and beginning repairs at the cellular level. Back at the ship, the Varaxians were frustrated by their slow progress. Many systems remained locked, responding only to John's voice or direct commands from Lily. The AI remained silent, pretending to be nothing more than a simple computer. She diverted power to essential systems only when the Varaxians weren't looking, sending energy to maintain the nanomachines working on John's body. General Zorax grew impatient. "Break it apart if necessary," he ordered. "I want working weapons from this ship within 10 days." The Varaxian engineers began dismantling sections of the Wanderer, removing its outer hull to access inner components. They studied the engine room, trying to understand the advanced propulsion system that had brought John across light years of space. 6 days after the attack, as Varaxian scientists argued over a particularly complex piece of technology in the ship's control room, a sensor alert flashed briefly on a screen. None of them noticed. In the research facility cold storage, John's eyes opened. He felt strange, different. His last memory was of pain exploding across his chest, of falling to the ground in the plaza. Now he lay on a cold metal table in a dark room. He tried to move and found that he could, though his body responded oddly. As if slightly delayed. John raised his hand in front of his face. In the dim light, he could see that something was wrong. His skin had a metallic sheen. When he flexed his fingers, he heard a faint mechanical sound. "What happened to me?" he whispered. To his surprise, a tiny voice responded inside his head. "Emergency medical protocols, John. Extensive reconstruction was necessary." "Lily?" John recognized the AIS voice. "How are you in my head?" "Neural interface. The nanomachines established a connection to save your life. Your body is now approximately 47% synthetic. Without these modifications, revival would have been impossible." John sat up slowly, taking in his surroundings. The cold storage room contained other specimens, plants, animals, tissue samples. He was just another experiment to the Varaxians. "They shot me," he said, memories flooding back. "I came in peace and they shot me." "Yes," Lily replied in his mind. "They have taken the ship. They are studying our technology. They believe Earth will send an invasion force when you don't return. They are preparing for war." John slid off the table, his movements becoming more coordinated as the nanomachines adjusted his neural connections. He felt stronger than before, faster. His senses seemed sharper. "We need to leave," he said quietly. "Can you guide me out?" "Yes," Lily answered, "but the ship is heavily guarded. Escape will be difficult." John looked down at his transformed body, at the hands that were now part machine. He had come to this world offering friendship and knowledge. They had responded with fear and violence. Now they prepared to threaten Earth based on their own paranoia. A cold resolve formed in John's mind. "Then we'll need a new plan," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "They wanted to see what humans are capable of. I think it's time to show them." John moved silently through the dark hallways of the research facility. His new body moved with a fluid grace that surprised him. The nanomachines had rebuilt his damaged organs and tissues, replacing what couldn't be saved with synthetic parts. His eyes now saw in multiple light spectrums, and his hearing picked up sounds far beyond normal human range. Two guards approaching from the left corridor. Lily's voice warned in his mind. John pressed himself against a wall, becoming perfectly still. The Varaxian guards walked past, talking quietly in their language. John could now understand them. Thanks to the translator technology Lily had integrated into his new neural systems. "A human ship is strange," one guard said. "General Zorak says we will have weapons from it soon." "Do you believe more humans will come?" asked the second guard. "The general thinks so. He says we must be ready." When they passed, John continued. Moving, he needed to reach an exit without being seen. The facility had minimal security inside. Why guard a dead specimen? "I need to get to the ship," John whispered. "Impossible at present," Lily responded. 27 armed guards surround it. "They have removed much of the outer hull and disabled many systems." John frowned. "What systems are still working?" "Core processor, emergency power, and the auxiliary craft bay." This news made John pause. The auxiliary craft bay contained a small shuttle he had designed for planetary exploration. It wasn't meant for space travel, but it had tools and equipment he could use. "Can you activate the shuttle remotely?" he asked. "Yes, but it would alert the Varaxians to unusual activity in the ship." John reached an emergency exit and carefully pushed it open. The night air was cool on his face. In the distance, he could see the lights of the capital city, and beyond that, a heavily guarded compound where his ship was being studied. "I need somewhere to hide and plan," John said. "Somewhere away from the city," Lily processed this request. "Scans show a mountain range 20 miles north with numerous caves. Minimal Varaxian presence detected there." "Perfect." John began moving across the open ground behind the facility, staying in shadows. His enhanced body allowed him to run faster than any human could, covering ground quickly and silently. By dawn, he reached the mountains Lily had identified inside a deep cave. John finally rested. He examined his transformed body more carefully. His skin had a slight metallic sheen, and when he cut his arm experimentally, a silvery fluid mixed with his blood. The cut sealed itself within minutes. "What exactly am I now, Lily?" he asked. "You are a human-machine hybrid," Lily explained. "Your brain remains mostly organic but with synthetic enhancements. Your skeletal structure has been reinforced with metallic compounds. Your muscles are a combination of biological tissue and synthetic fibers. Your cardiovascular system—" "Enough," John interrupted. "I understand I'm not fully human anymore. Correct? But your mind and memories remain intact. Your core identity is unchanged." John sat against the cave wall, thinking about what had happened and what he should do next. He had come to this world to make peaceful contact. Now he was hiding in a cave, part machine, while the Varaxians prepared for a war with Earth based on unfounded fears. "They attacked me because they were afraid," he said quietly. "Yes," Lily agreed. "Their military leadership appears to have acted out of fear. However, not all Varaxians supported this action. The council member called Krell objected strongly." This information gave John pause. Perhaps not all Varaxians were his enemies. But those in power had made their choice, and now they were using his technology to build weapons. "We need to stop them," John decided. "But I can't do it alone. I need resources." Over the next days, John ventured out at night exploring the mountain region. He discovered an abandoned mining facility with old equipment. Using his enhanced strength and Lily's technical knowledge, he began converting the mining tools into something useful. Meanwhile, at the ship, the Varaxians grew frustrated. They had dismantled much of the Wanderer but struggled to understand its most advanced systems. General Zorax became increasingly angry, pushing his scientists to work faster. "The human drive system could revolutionize our fleet," Zorax told Supreme Commander Vila during an inspection. "And their weapons technology is decades ahead of ours. When we understand it fully, we will be prepared for any Earth invasion." Vila looked troubled. "And you are certain they will come? What evidence do we have beyond your suspicions?" Zorax gestured to screens showing information from John's databases. "Their history is full of wars and conquests. They are a violent species. This human was surely sent to assess our defenses." Councilmember Krell, who had accompanied Vila, spoke up. "Or perhaps he was exactly what he appeared to be, an explorer offering peace. We will never know because you shot him before he could." "Speak." "Enough," Vila raised her hand. "What's done is done. Continue your work, General. But I want regular reports on your progress." As the Varaxian leaders left, none of them noticed a small drone hovering in a dark corner of the ceiling. John had built it from mining equipment parts, and Lily controlled it remotely through their neural connection. Through this drone, John watched and listened. Gathering information back in the mountains, John had converted the abandoned mining facility into a workshop. He built more drones, each designed for a specific purpose: surveillance, retrieval of materials, and eventually sabotage. "I need to get to my shuttle," John told Lily as he worked on a larger drone. "With its equipment, I can build something to get us off this planet." "The shuttle remains in the auxiliary bay," Lily confirmed. "The Varaxians have not yet breached that section of the ship. However, attempting to retrieve it would be extremely dangerous." John's face hardened. "I'll create a distraction. Something to draw away most of the guards." For 3 weeks, John worked tirelessly. His enhanced body needed little sleep. He sent his drones to scavenge materials from Varaxian outposts and settlements, always careful to take only what wouldn't be quickly missed. He built a small arsenal of devices, none designed to kill, but all capable of creating confusion and chaos. On the night of his planned mission, John stood at the edge of a cliff overlooking the compound where his ship was held. Through his enhanced vision, he could see guards patrolling the perimeter. Inside, scientists continued their work, even at this late hour. "All drones in position," Lily reported. John took a deep breath. "Begin the operation." Across the city, a series of explosions erupted. Power stations went dark. Communication arrays fell silent. Emergency alarms blared. The distractions were precisely targeted: no residential areas, no risk to civilian lives. But to the Varaxian, Military, it would appear as a coordinated attack. As predicted, most guards at the ship compound rushed to respond. General Zorax shouted orders directing forces to the affected areas. In the confusion, John moved silently toward his ship, his body's synthetic components allowing him to slip past. Remaining security measures, he entered through a maintenance hatch that the Varaxians hadn't discovered. Inside, the Wanderer was badly damaged. John felt a surge of anger seeing his creation torn apart, but he pushed the emotion aside. He had a mission. "Guide me to the auxiliary bay," he whispered. "3 Varaxian scientists remain on board," Lily warned. "They are in the main control room. I'll avoid them." John moved through darkened corridors, stepping over dismantled equipment and torn panels. When he reached the auxiliary bay, he found it untouched, sealed behind a hidden door the Varaxians hadn't discovered. Inside sat his shuttle, a sleek craft designed for planetary exploration. John placed his hand on the access panel, and the shuttle's systems came to life, recognizing him despite his transformation. "Transfer all essential data to the shuttle," John instructed Lily. "We're leaving." As the data transfer began, an alarm suddenly blared throughout the ship. John froze. "We've been detected," Lily warned. "Security systems have been activated." John's eyes narrowed. "Then we'll have to move faster than planned. Prepare for launch." He entered the shuttle, powered up its systems, and prepared to break out of the Wanderer and begin the next phase of his plan. The peaceful explorer was gone. In his place stood something new, something the Varaxians had created through their own fear and violence. And now they would face the consequences of their choice. The shuttle burst through the outer wall of the Wanderer with a thunderous crash. Metal and debris scattered in all directions as John piloted the small craft away from his ruined ship. Alarms blared across the compound. Varaxian guards fired energy weapons, their shots bouncing off the shuttle's reinforced hull. "All data transfer complete," Lily informed John through their neural link. "Shuttle systems operating at 93% capacity." John pushed the engines to maximum speed. The shuttle rose rapidly into the night sky, leaving behind the chaos of the compound. Behind him, General Zorax shouted orders to scramble fighter craft, but John knew they would be too late. His shuttle, though small, contained technology far more advanced than anything the Varaxians possessed. "Set course for the far side of the larger moon," John instructed. "We need time and space to work." The shuttle accelerated through the atmosphere, breaking free of the planet's gravity with ease. Within minutes, the blue-green world fell away beneath him, and the dark side of the larger moon loomed ahead. John guided the shuttle into a deep crater, landing in shadows where Varaxian sensors would struggle to detect him. Once safely hidden, John began to assess his situation. The shuttle contained tools and materials for planetary exploration. It wasn't designed for combat, but with his enhanced mind and Lily's help, he could modify it. More importantly, the shuttle contained fabrication equipment devices, capable of creating complex components from raw materials the moon contains. "Numerous useful minerals," Lily reported after running scans. "We can mine what we need to build a new ship." John nodded. "Not just any ship, something they won't expect?" For the next 3 months, John worked tirelessly. His partially synthetic body required little rest. The fabrication equipment from the shuttle was set up in a cave on the moon's surface. John modified mining drones to extract necessary materials from the lunar crust. Slowly, piece by piece, a new vessel took shape. Meanwhile, on the planet below, the Varaxians were in turmoil. The escape of a being they had believed dead shocked their military leadership. General Zorax faced harsh questions from the High Council. "You told us the human was dead." Supreme Commander Vila's voice echoed through the council chamber. "Now we learn he has escaped and stolen back part of his technology." "Explain this failure." Zorax stood stiffly, his forearms clasped behind his back. "The human's biology is more resilient than we anticipated. It appears their medical technology is far more advanced than ours. We underestimated them." Councilmember Krell spoke up. "Perhaps if we had welcomed him peacefully as originally planned, we would not be in this position." "Enough!" Vila raised her hand for silence. What matters now is what the human intends to do. General, what is your assessment? Zorax's expression darkened. He will return, and he will not come in peace this time. The general's prediction proved correct. 6 months after John's escape to the moon, Varaxian deep space monitoring stations detected something approaching from lunar orbit. It was unlike anything they had seen before, a sleek, black vessel that absorbed sensor scans rather than reflecting them. Its shape reminded them of predatory animals from their world's ancient oceans. All military forces to alert status, Zorax commanded from the defense headquarters. Prepare orbital weapons platforms. I want fighter squadrons ready to launch. The black ship entered orbit around the Varaxian homeworld. It made no attempt to hide. Instead, it positioned itself directly over the capital city, visible to millions of frightened Varaxians who looked up at the sky inside the ship, which John had named Reckoning. He sat in a command chair that connected directly to his nervous system. Through this interface, he could control every aspect of the vessel with mere thoughts. The ship was an extension of his transformed body. Open a communication channel to their leadership, John said. His voice had changed over the months, taking on a slightly metallic quality that matched his altered appearance. On the planet below, screens in the High Council chamber suddenly activated. John's face appeared, causing gasps among the council members. He looked different, partly human, partly machine. His eyes glowed with a faint blue light, and metallic implants were visible along his jawline and forehead. I am John Carter of Earth, he said, his voice calm but cold. 6 months ago, I came to your world in peace. I offered friendship and knowledge. You responded by trying to kill me and stealing my technology. General Zorax stepped forward. We acted to protect our people from potential invasion. I came alone, John replied. One ship, one human. No weapons activated. I carried gifts. His expression hardened. And now you have what you feared, a human with reason to fight. Supreme Commander Vila moved into view of the communication device. What do you want from us? Justice, John said simply. Return what remains of my original ship. Cease all attempts to weaponize my technology. And remove those responsible for the attack against me from power. Zorax laughed harshly. You are one being in one ship. We have an entire planetary defense system. Your demands are meaningless. John's expression didn't change. Very well, I will demonstrate why you should take me seriously. The communication ended. Moments later, alarms blared throughout the defense headquarters. One by one, the orbital defense platforms surrounding the planet went dark. Fighter craft preparing to launch suddenly lost power. Military bases across the planet reported complete system failures. What's happening? Vila demanded. Zorax stared at status screens in disbelief. He's using some kind of energy pulse that targets our technology. Everything is shutting down. In the reckoning, John monitored the effects of his ship's primary weapon system. It didn't destroy it, disabled. The technology was based on designs he had created years ago but never built, considering them too powerful to use. Now, transformed by his experiences, he had no such hesitation. All military systems have been neutralized, Lily reported. Civilian infrastructure remains functional, John nodded. Begin Phase 2. Across the Varaxian homeworld, public communication systems activated simultaneously. Every screen showed the same images: John's peaceful arrival, the unprovoked attack, the theft of his technology, the meetings where General Zorax had lied about Earth's intentions. John had gathered this evidence through his surveillance drones over the past months. Now all Varaxians could see the truth. In the High Council chamber, chaos erupted as members watched these revelations. Zorax drew a weapon, pointing it at the communication screen in rage. This is manipulation, lies, he shouted. Council member Krell stepped toward Vila. Supreme Commander, the evidence is clear. We attacked a peaceful visitor based on fear and paranoia. Now we face the consequences. Vila's expression was grim, as she watched the truth unfold on screens across the chamber. The decision she now faced would determine the future of her people. Above the planet, John waited in his ship. The time for peace had passed. Now was the time for justice. Whether that justice would come through understanding or through force remained to be seen. Either way, the Varaxians would learn that humanity was not to be underestimated, especially a human who had offered peace only to be met with violence. The morning sun rose over the Varaxian capital city. Streets that would normally be busy with activity were quiet. People stayed in their homes, watching news screens or looking up at the black ship that still hung in the sky above them. In the High Council chamber, an emergency session had lasted through the night. The evidence John had broadcast could not be denied. The recordings showed clearly that he had come in peace and been met with violence. Supreme Commander Vila stood at the center of the chamber. Her face showed the strain of difficult decisions. General Zorax is under arrest, she announced to the gathered officials. As are the officers who carried out his orders to fire on the human. Council member Krell nodded in approval. And what of the human's demands? We will meet them, Vila said firmly. We have no choice. Our military systems remain disabled. Our planet is defenseless. She looked around the chamber. But more importantly, it is the right thing to do. We were wrong. A communication officer approached Vila. Supreme Commander, the human requests to land. He wishes to speak with the council in person. A murmur of fear ran through the chamber. Despite everything they had learned, the thought of facing the being whose power had so easily overcome their defenses was frightening. Vila straightened her posture. Tell him he may land. He will be received with the full dignity of a diplomatic visitor. No weapons will be present. An hour later, John's ship Reckoning descended slowly into the same plaza where he had first landed 6 months earlier. This time, no crowds gathered to watch. The area was empty except for Vila, Krell, and a small group of council officials. The ship was beautiful in a dangerous way. Its black surface seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. It made no sound as it settled onto the stone surface of the plaza. A ramp extended, and John Carter walked out. The Varaxians could not help but gasp. John was changed dramatically from the human who had first arrived on their world. His body moved with fluid precision. Metal components were visible along his arms and face, integrated seamlessly with his remaining human features. His eyes glowed with a soft blue light. Supreme Commander Vila, John said, his voice carrying a slight mechanical undertone. I have returned as promised. Vila stepped forward, all 4 of her arms held open in the Varaxian gesture of peaceful intent. John Carter of Earth, I speak. For all Varaxians, when I say we deeply regret what was done to you, we offer our sincere apologies and accept your terms. John studied her for a moment, his enhanced senses detecting no deception in her words or body language. What of General Zorax? He asked. Arrested, Vila replied. He and those who carried out his orders will face justice under our laws. Krell stepped forward. The remains of your original ship have been gathered. All research based on your technology has been locked away, awaiting your decision on what should be done with it. John nodded. I will inspect everything myself. They led him to a nearby government building where the council had hastily prepared a meeting room. Maps and data screens showed the locations of all facilities where John's technology had been studied. Reports detailed exactly what had been learned and what had been built. For hours, John reviewed the information. The Varaxians had made progress in understanding some aspects of his ship, but their comprehension was incomplete and often incorrect. Still, they had managed to build several prototype weapons based on human designs. All of this must be destroyed, John said finally. The knowledge is not yours to have. You have not earned it, Vila nodded in agreement. It will be done as you wish. Over the next 3 days, John visited each research facility. He supervised the destruction of all prototypes and research data related to his technology. At the site where the Wanderer had been studied, he collected the remains of his original ship. On the 4th day, John returned to the council chamber. The mood was tense but hopeful. The Varaxians had complied with all his demands without resistance. You have done as I asked, John acknowledged. Now we must discuss the future. What do you intend to do? Vila asked cautiously. Will you return to Earth? Will others of your kind come? John considered the questions carefully. Earth does not know of your existence. My journey was personal, not an official mission. But eventually, humanity will expand beyond our solar system. They will find you, Krell looked concerned. After what we did to you, will they seek revenge? That depends on what happens now, John replied. I came here originally to share knowledge and establish peaceful contact between our worlds. That purpose hasn't changed, despite everything that has happened. Murmurs of surprise ran through the chamber. After all the Voraxians had done to him, John was still offering peace. You would still share with us? Vila asked in disbelief. After we tried to kill you? After we stole from you? Those responsible have been removed from power, John said. I see no reason to punish an entire civilization for the actions of a few driven by fear. His expression softened slightly. But things will be different this time. I will share knowledge at a pace you can handle. Nothing that could be used as a weapon, and I will monitor your progress carefully. Relief spread through the council chamber. The human was offering them a second chance, one they had not expected and knew they did not deserve. Over the following weeks, John established a small base outside the capital city. There, he began teaching selected Voraxian scientists about Earth medicine, agriculture, and clean energy. He shared knowledge that would improve lives without risking misuse. In private moments, John sometimes wondered what Mary would think of him now, part machine, living on an alien world, forever changed by violence but still trying to fulfill his original mission of peace. He knew he could never return to Earth. His transformed body would make him as alien there as he was here. Do you regret coming here? Lily asked him one evening as he watched the sunset from his new home. John considered the question. No, he said finally. They needed to learn that actions have consequences. That peace should be valued and not discarded out of fear. He looked at his partly mechanical hand. And I needed to learn that even after suffering there can be a way forward that isn't based on revenge. 6 months after John's return to the Voraxian world, a communication satellite detected signals from Earth, humanity's first attempts to make contact with other civilizations. Soon, they would develop ships capable of reaching this star system. John knew he would be there to meet them when they arrived. He would serve as a bridge between the two worlds, ensuring that first contact went better the second time around. The Voraxians had learned their lesson about shooting first and asking questions later, and so had he.